Today, I'm gonna break down 9 AI side hustles you can do with no money. These can potentially make you...
How did this guy go from losing his job to making $200,000?
And I heard my phone just go off.
If you have the same For You page as me, filled with information about business, you might have noticed that a lot of the content seems kind of bogus. I really wish that I would have found out about this sooner, and I do have a really good solution on how to get the right startup information. But first, I want to explain what I think is wrong with the content that most of us consume today. When I open up Instagram, TikTok, and even YouTube, a huge amount of the content that I encounter is centered around arbitrary numbers and secret hacks, like a morning routine that will increase your productivity or secret business models that are going to make you rich. So why do I hate this? Well, I think entrepreneurship is a million times deeper than what the short-form content paints a picture of. The people I know and the experiences I've had with startups myself all point in a very different direction. From intense study, I've boiled this down to a list of actual good and healthy reasons for creating a venture. But first, let's take a look at the obscured image that the internet paints of startup creation. The most common chain of logic I've found is the following. You want to be happy and you want to have a good life. This is a fair assumption, I think. In order to get this, you need to be rich and famous. And to achieve that, you should start a business. So the whole assumption that most of this content is based on is that the reason why you should start a business is to gain money and social status. I think this might have a hand in getting some people started, but the people that keep going tend to gain something far greater than these external ego inflators. My favorite example of a person who really understands this is Richard Branson. He's one of the world's most successful entrepreneurs, having started and still owning 100% of Virgin Group, an empire consisting of more than 40 companies that employ over 70,000 people around the world. Branson is arguably one of the best people to learn from when it comes to starting businesses. And what is striking is that what he has to say is quite different from what most viral videos on the internet do.
A company is simply a group of people, and as a leader of people, you have to be a great listener, you have to be a great motivator, you have to be very good at praising and looking for the best in people. People are no different from flowers. If you water flowers, they flourish. If you praise people, they flourish.
Branson values kindness, creativity, solving problems, and helping other humans. He also underlines the fact that he wants to keep learning his whole life. To him, starting a business is solving a problem, and the wealth you gain from the venture also comes with a responsibility to spend it in a way that benefits others.
Capitalism has been proven to be a system that works. The alternative, communism, has not worked. But the problem with capitalism is extreme wealth ends up in the hands of a few people, and therefore extreme responsibility, I think, goes with that wealth. And I think it's important that the individuals who are in that fortunate position do not end up competing for bigger and bigger boats and bigger cars, but you use that money to either create new jobs or to tackle issues around the world.
Okay, so this guy's cool, but he's not alone. Tons of other entrepreneurs share the same spirit as Branson. So what are these better reasons for entrepreneurship, and how can we seek out people that think in this way in order to learn from them? Here's the list that I've comprised so far, which can be used to find the right teachers and information. They contribute to self-worth and the feeling of a good life. Remember, that was what we set out to gain in the first place. There may be a lot of other good reasons to start a business, and I want to hear your thoughts, but this is what I've picked up so far. So here's the list in no particular order. The first one is the freedom of choice when it comes to work. You decide yourself. The second is the excitement and passion of creating your own thing. Third is the joy of seeing others benefit from your business. Fourth is the thrill of competition. Fifth and final is the personal development that you get to gain from starting a business. You get to turn into a more capable and wise human and leader. Now, I'm not going to pretend that owning a business does not come with the benefits of money and social status, but I truly believe that this is somewhat separate from self-esteem, self-worth, and the feeling of a good life. I wish I had learned this sooner, that I had been steered on the right path earlier and not wasted my time on bogus information built on wrong assumptions about life, art, and work. Why are these basic reasons for starting a business not reflected in the content that is popping up on our feeds? It didn't used to be this way. Before, the internet was a place of great wonder and inspiration. Now it kind of feels like a shit show of quick lines that don't mean anything. I wish it was easier to learn more about real entrepreneurship done for the right reasons, but it almost seems like something is standing in the way of that. Let me explain. Something that happened recently within the very structure of the platforms that we use has fundamentally changed the way information is spread and received. You've probably guessed where I'm going with this. It's the fucking algorithm.
We're starting to see an increase in ADHD. You're less likely to be able to focus, have longer periods of attention and concentration. Reading seems boring. Even watching a movie, they say, is starting to seem boring to kids.
The internet has seen a drastic shift over the last few years. We've gone from watching the people we subscribe to or pages we followed to being served the most personally attention-grabbing piece of content available as of right now.
Are you trying to create a place where you can build strength of relationship with your community, or is it maximizing attention?
Conte, the creator of Patreon, talks about how algorithmic feeds versus chronological follower-based feeds can be compared to restaurants. This is my version. Before, the internet used to be a family restaurant that you regularly went to and knew what to expect from. You were greeted by the same few waiters and you ordered the usual. But now it's like trying a snack from every restaurant at Times Square, getting pushed around by a tourist mob. You end up getting 1,000 snacks from 1,000 chefs and you know none of them. You probably don't know me either. All the chefs or creators try to pull you in their shop by screaming and dragging. This, of course, is a metaphor for the clickbait hooks, thumbnails, and titles that we encounter.
Oh, no, I don't pay any taxes.
Why is that?
People say that it's patriotic to pay taxes. It is not patriotic to pay taxes. It's actually more patriotic to not pay taxes.
The internet used to be a nice, balanced 3-course meal, consisting of a salad to start with, a grilled chicken breast with rice, and maybe a sweet treat in the end. Now it's like a full-on, never-ending buffet consisting of only barbecue spare ribs and soft ice. It's hard to stop, and it feels like shit. So how does the algorithm affect the information we gain about entrepreneurship? Well, when we consume the most trending and viral content, as opposed to the content that is most accurately depicting the meaning and process of entrepreneurship, it's self-explanatory that we gain a false view of what starting a business really means. We forget the true art and passion behind creating something and instead hyper-focus on the outcomes such as money or status, and we get fooled by exciting secrets such as arbitrary business models or productivity hacks. The before great and heartfelt advice that we would find from the people we followed is switched out by the title and subject that is most likely to please the algorithm and create engagement and watch time.
To get a business from 0 to 10 million, you essentially have to be very, very dictatorial. You tell people what you want. People will tell you this isn't going to work.
I know I'm painting a dark picture, and I know that the new algorithms also make it possible to discover lots of new and interesting people. But I really do think that being unintentional with the stuff that you consume is a net negative. Just like the unhealthy all-you-can-eat buffet, if you don't watch your information diet, your mind will end up being overweight, confused, and depressed. If you want to dive deeper into the ever-changing mechanics of the internet, I really recommend the talk by Conte called The Death of the Follower. So what does one do? I want to learn about entrepreneurship, not just consume content. I think the solution is to seek out content that is inherently created to be good and tell the truth, not create reactions and shares. If someone is screaming for your attention, it's usually because the stuff they have to say is not substantial enough in itself. This means that we have to find information that doesn't rely on capturing your attention or selling you anything. Here are the 5 best ways of gaining meaningful information about entrepreneurship, or frankly, anything. The first one is books. This is media that someone actually sat down and spent several months, maybe years, trying to write and rewrite, usually for the sake of creating the best and most truthful work possible. Not something that was just made up and posted within an hour. One of my favorite books about life and entrepreneurship was made non-profit. In fact, the author didn't even write it himself, but someone chose to collect all of his wisdom in a short but great piece of sliced up wood. It's the Almanac of Naval Ravikant. You can find a list of all my favorite books in a link in the description. The second category is selected YouTube creators. Some online creators do not seek to please the algorithm, but rather to inform a specific group of real entrepreneurs. An example is Y Combinator's YouTube channel that exists in order for people to gain information about creating the best possible startup that Y Combinator can in turn invest in. They're not interested in a lot of views, but a lot of great startups and entrepreneurs. Category number 3 is podcasts. I've always loved long, unedited podcasts that focus on finding the truth. Lex Fridman has a great deal of interesting entrepreneurs and thinkers on his podcast, and he's one of the few people I've encountered online that really listens more than he talks. Category number 4 is talking to people who actually run businesses and don't care about creating content. This can be done by talking to friends and family that run businesses, but you might not know anyone who do that. In that case, I can really recommend joining a local startup central/incubator. No matter how silly a project you work on, you will be exposed to other real entrepreneurs and gain valuable network. Last and most importantly, I found that for the most part, information leads to inspiration and guidance, but real learning comes from doing. So start something small today so that you can do something rather than just talk and read about it. I really hope that you found this video useful, and I hope that you, like me, can try and find the way back to the wonder and art of creating something in this world.
And basically they frame it as if the whole reason for making Facebook and building something was because I wanted to get girls or wanted to get into some kind of social institution. It's such a big disconnect from, I think, the way that people who make movies think about what we do in Silicon Valley, building stuff, right? Like, they just can't wrap their head around the idea that someone might build something because they like building things.